What is up, YouTube? It is Psychedelic Scizor, and I am here with my Week 1 team builder of the CPC D-League versus Brett, coach of the Magcargo Brett-Aviv. And as you can see, his team on the right here, he has got Megazard X, Hoop Unbound, Suicune, Nihilego, Skarmory, Raikou, Rotom-Mow, Silvally, Chansey, Volbeat, and Unknown. With his Z users being... what were his Z users? Oh, Hoopa and Rotom-Mow. I don't know why it's not showing it here, but I'll fix that next time. Yeah, Hoopa, you, and Rotom-Mow are Z users. Now, admittedly, I think I have the matchup here, but there's a couple scary things on his team that still are big threats to me. 3 things specifically, and others that are just by their nature. Like, the 2 that are just by their nature is Megazard X and Hoop Unbound. They're just so strong and good at what they do that it's kind of hard to stop them no matter how good of a matchup you have. Like, sure, I have an Umbreon that handles Hoopa, but, you know, if it hits me with a fighting move enough, it's gonna die. And Megazard X, yeah, I've got Azu and I've got Lando and other stuff that handles it, but Megazard X can kind of just muscle through those sometimes, so I have to look out for those. But 3 in particular that are hard for this team is, Nihilego is definitely a big threat. If it's... I think a speed boosting set probably would be the best versus me, but even that would need Umbreon worn down. But the right Nihilego, if the right stuff is chipped, could get me pretty well. Suicune also is just an issue. I don't break bulky waters very well, and Suicune is a very, very bulky water. And finally, probably biggest for me is Raikou, just because I don't have any, I won't say any good immunities to electric, because Lando is definitely good, but you know, it's 4 times weak to ice, and since Raikou has kind of the speed advantage on my team, it's faster than everything besides Rabombi, which I do not think matched up well this week. Well, it could have been broad, but I definitely think there's better options. But yeah, Raikou just being able to outspeed my whole team naturally, besides Rabombi, is definitely a threat, and a set of Thunderbolt, Extra Sensory, and like Shadow Ball kind of destroys my team, or even HP Ice, and just hoping he kind of muscles through. Jirachi, oh, I forgot to mention that was Calm Mind set that I was talking about with those 3 attacks. Calm Mind 3 attacks is really, really good versus me. And I lost in my mock versus, well, not that set, but that was a whole gimmick set. I'm not even going to get into it. Volbeat is not a Mon, even though Volbeat is kind of what beat me, but Volbeat is not a Mon. So, getting into the team here, my probably biggest win condition, and this just stuck out to me right away, is Choice Banded Terrakion. Now, he does not have a switch in Choice Band Terrakion, period. Even Skarmory and Volbeat are completely 2-hit KO'd by Choice Banded Close Combat. He just, whenever this thing gets a free switch in, he loses a Mon, period. Really, all I'm going to be clicking is Close Combat. The rest are kind of filler moves. Stone Edge is there just in case he brings, like, Silvally Ghost, so he's immune to close combat, so it can still fire off a strong stab. Rock Slide is there for... what is it there for? I guess a more accurate Stone Edge if I need to click a move, but I don't want to miss it. I don't know. These are all filler moves. And Quick Attack just for priority if I need it, but I'm almost always clicking Close Combat because he just does not have a switch in. Terrakion absolutely muscles through his team. Next, we have got a Payapa Berry Amoonguss. I did change this last second to Payapa Berry instead of Leftovers, just because of Extra Sensory on Raikou, which I kind of forgot about. But Seed Bomb, Stomping Tantrum, Toxic, and Synthesis. Seed Bomb keeps Suicune from setting up on me, sort of. Or at least it prevents it from subbing up on me, I should say. Because, obviously, it's not going to be able to Calm Mind through this because it's physical. And Stomping Tantrum hits Nihilego very hard. It doesn't OHKO, but it's a solid 2-hit KO on non-bulk invested sets. in fact, it does a lot to non-bulk invested sets. And then Toxic, just to wear things down, and Synthesis for recovery. It's my pretty blanket check for most of his special attackers, and even some of his physical attackers. It just covers a lot on his team. Amoonguss is a great pivot this game. It is a lot of games. Next, to round out kind of that defensive core, sort of, we've got Umbreon, Fizdef with the Choppleberry. This is here so that I don't lose to Hoopa. Now, I still don't think Hoopa has a particularly good matchup, just because of how fast my team is, and because Umbreon does stop it pretty well, but this will stop most variants of Hoopa. With the right predictions, spec set, I guess, could get me, and I guess banned too, but even then, like, Umbreon, generally speaking, checks it pretty well. I do have dual recovery, Moonlight, so that I can just recover in one turn and not being taken advantage of, and Wish is mostly going to be not for my own recovery, it's getting free switch-ins to other things. I can Wish, next turn Baton Pass out to Amon, maybe they take a hit as they switch in, but then recover all that back with a Wish. So this is so that Umbreon is not total momentum drain, so that it can give me a free switch into stuff. And that's really, really helpful, because Umbreon can be a momentum drain sometimes, but I'm not going to let it be this game. Now we have got our Stealth Rocking defensive Lando T with the Rocks, the Earthquake, the U-Turn, and the Defog. Defog, just in case he tries to hazard stack me with Scarm, which is very plausible. Yeah, it would do pretty well versus me, because it would break down my defensive core that I just showed down, or showed off. What? I'm not speaking well today, but we're rolling with it. We're rolling with it. So it's a good defogger because it does force some switches, and generally just Earthquake does a pretty good number to his team. Lumberry is there because I think, personally, if he's going to bring Zard, it's got to be like bulky, or at least Will-O-Wisp Zard, because of this Lando, and because of the Azu. I think it has to be Will-O-Wisp Zard if he brings it, and so that's what I have the Lumberry for, to eat that up when I get burnt, and then to knock it out with an Earthquake because I am no longer burnt. And otherwise, it's just a nice physical check, a nice backup check to Hoopa. I do have enough speed to outspeed Hoopa. I forget if this is like Adamant Hoopa or if this is Jolly Hoopa, but oh no, I remember what it is. The only thing that Hoopa really can outspeed, unless it's Choice Scarfed, is Barbarical. So this is enough speed to speed creep a Hoopa, speed creeping my Barbarical, and that's it. So U-Turn is definitely going to knock it out, and that is Landorus. Next, we have got a Choice Banded Azumarill with Aqua Jet, Liquidation, Play Rough, and Perish Song. This does a couple things for me. It stops me from losing to Zard. It's another backup check because Zard is still a threat. It stops me from losing to Nihilego because Aqua Jet absolutely destroys it. And just generally, it keeps me from getting swept by a lot of things with that really, really powerful priority. And Perish Song is on there. This thing can kind of handle Suicune because it has two options. If Suicune is not max Fizdef, if it's got like speed or something like that, then Play Rough is able to 2-hit KO it. And if it is max Fizdef, it can take 2 Play Roughs, but I'll be able to Perish Song on that to effectively end it from trying to sweep or do whatever Suicune does. But yeah, it's just a general check to a lot of things. Helps check Scarf Hoopa too. Does a lot of damage to Scarm too. If I get a defense drop with Liquidation, that's a 2-hit KO. Easy. And enough speed to outspeed uninvested Scarm. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. And, sorry, I built this team a while ago, so specific details are kind of escaping me a little bit. And next, we have got a Choice Scarf Jirachi with U-Turn, Zen Headbutt, Draco, and Thunderbolt. So the mixed set. This does a ton of things for me in one set, and it's fantastic. It is a nice defensive pivot just because of the natural bulk and the typing. And it also is really good versus his team. Zen Headbutt obviously hits the Nihilego, and is just able to flinch things down, you know, what Jirachi does. Draco, with this investment, will knock out a Zard X after rocks, and that's assuming it's Mega, so it's at 75%. It'll do minimum 75%. It also definitely can't set up on this Jirachi because it will be 2-hit KO'd by Draco. And Thunderbolt 2-hit KOs Skarm easily, and it admittedly doesn't do a ton to Suicune, but it's about a 3-hit KO if leftovers aren't there for some reason. Yeah, that's dumb, but it puts on a little bit of pressure on Suicune. If it's already chipped, I can, you know, it's not a switch in. And, you know, Serene Grace Paralysis is always an option here because it is a Jirachi. We can hacks our way to victory here. But, yeah, this Jirachi covers a ton of things all in one. And it's absolute max speed just to try to outspeed Zard. Because I just don't think that Zard is going to be absolute max speed. I think, like I said, if it's going to come, it's going to be bulky Zard, and, well, if it's absolute max speed, it is missing one of two things. It is either missing attack, so it's not very powerful, or it's missing bulk, which it needs to set up and be any kind of threat. So that is a Jirachi set, and that is the team. Overall, I do like the matchup here. I think my team is pretty good, and I think my matchup is pretty good, but that doesn't really mean anything because he still has threats to win. It's not an unwinnable matchup by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I'm very nervous about Raikou because Calm Mind Raikou still gives this team problems. That's why I have Scarf Jirachi instead of a Calm Mind Jirachi like I initially had on this build. But I just needed speed. I needed a way to revenge kill it better, and Zen Headbutt gives me about a 2-hit KO on Raikou. I think I need a little bit of chip for it to be a 2-hit KO, but there's also the flinch chance, so I'll take it. And so that is the team. If you guys like what the Oakland A's Elves are doing, make sure you like, subscribe, share, do what you do with the YouTube videos. I'm going to get on out of here and see you guys later.